you're going to look into this camera and speak to your father. Tell him that he must pay the money, that he must do exactly as we ask, or we will kill you.
Daddy. Okay. They just took me. I was leaving the house and they just took me.
Hey everybody, welcome to MovieStrange. I'm here with my friends Uncle Al and Drew. Hey guys, how's it going?
What's up? How's it going?
That's awesome.
Hello.
Al, hey Drew, sorry about that. Al, you missed our last presentation where we picked this film. How's everything good? Everything good? How's it going?
Everything's great. I went on a trip out to Bohemian Grove and got to see Moloch in person. And I saw Russell Limbaugh's dead corpse there as they were eating pounds of his flesh. So,
is that something I should know? What's that a reference to?
To what?
Bohemian Grove? Well, if you don't know, you don't know.
Okay. Yeah, you're not invited to the party.
I guess
you can't come.
I wore this hat for you, Al, so I'd remember your name. Put that right in the middle, just so you know. All right, let's go.
I'll try to get you invited next time. Maybe we can go to the Bilderberg group meeting next.
Ooh,
it sounds a little creepy. I'm not going to lie. Seems weird, but all right. Let's go to the words from last week. Al, you were not here, but these are the 4 sets of words. 2 sets. I'm sorry, I always do this. 2 sets. Stress, butt stuff, daddy, abduction, deception, betrayal, and nudity. And why are you laughing? Because you thought I'd go for butt stuff?
You weren't courageous enough to get the butt stuff, I guess.
You know what? I'm still feeling a little weird about stuff after 1313. And we keep bringing that up, but I just...
There was no butt stuff in that, though. It was all abs.
It's all abs. All right, but I picked this one, which is abduction, deception, betrayal, and nudity. And Drew, tell me what the movie I picked. Tell our by the way, subscribe, hit the like button. If we have a couple fans, that'd be nice. Anyway, before we hit the movie, what's the movie I picked?
The movie that you picked is from 2009, and it's called The Disappearance of Alice Creed, which remains one of my favorite movie titles ever because of its evocative nature, and also the way that it's used in the movie is very clever as well. That is written and directed by Jay Blakeson and stars Gemma Arterton, Eddie Marsan, and Martin Compston, and that's it. It's a very small-scale movie.
What do you call that kind of movie? Bottle movie? Is that what you call a bottle film?
You could call it a bottle movie. You could call it a three-hander.
Three-hander, right?
It kind of.
Why are you laughing at three-hander? Don't be sick. You're sick.
Because that's a Bilderberg thing. It's a Bilderberg thing when you go to like the International Masons masturbatory workshops and stuff. It's not the
circle. It's the circle ritual. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not a big deal.
I knew there was a reason I didn't want to go there. All right, so explain the film.
So the movie is basically 2 guys kidnap a girl. Her name is Alice Creed. They want to kidnap her. Her father's rich. They want to hold her for ransom. And things don't go the way you might expect them to go. And it's just a really tight little tense piece. It almost feels like a play in some ways in the fact that it's so small and has very limited locations. But I don't mean that as a knock. Sometimes if I think a movie feels like a play, that's bad. But it still remains cinematic. And it was also, before we watched the trailer, it was also, as I've said, I feel like I'm saying this a lot, but that's the kind of movies we're watching. It is a very satisfying directorial debut. So this is Jay Blakeson's first movie that he wrote and directed, and he knocks it out of the park right out of the gate, and that's really satisfying.
Anything recently that we would know about if this is his first?
Funny you ask. He actually did a movie that I just watched last night called I Care a Lot, starring Rosamund Pike and Peter Dinklage. That is a movie that is worth your time, and in some ways, without spoiling, I don't want to spoil a new movie, but we'll talk spoilers about this movie. There are some similarities in both good and bad ways to the structure. So I can say with confidence now, if you were wondering, is there such a thing as a Jay Blakeson movie? There definitely is, because he only directed 2 other things. And Jay Blakeson's style.
Well, it's good because I watched this because I picked it. I had no idea that was his film, and I love that film. And as we talked,
you love which way you love? I Care a Lot. Or
I loved them both, but I Care About You. I loved a lot, And boy, the structure of that one was driving me crazy. And then I was completely satisfied by the end of it. So it's a really well done film. And I'm glad it's this guy. That's awesome. All right, now Al, I picked this one because the word nudity was in the description. Okay, not gonna lie. I'm gonna be crass. I'm not gonna lie.
Was it in the description?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the last word in the description. If I barely remember, but I'm pretty sure nudity was the last word in the description.
Good job,
and
buddy.
I have to say,
well,
okay,
there
so
was male nudity in this, so you got the best of both worlds.
There was both male nudity and female nudity, and it was disturbing that I felt like I was part of that kidnapping, and the nudity was not at all sexy or erotic or anything. It was actually quite disturbing because I felt guilty, like I'm part of this. So go ahead, Drew, explain a little bit more because it's actually quite a good film.
The movie is essentially, the structure is very simple. First of all, it does something that I think is great, which I Care a Lot does not do. I Care a Lot starts with a voiceover. It's not a bad voiceover, but generally I really don't care for voiceovers. It always feels like something you could have solved in the way that you're telling the story, or something that somebody outside the movie from the studio made you add, or something like that. And I think the way this movie starts, I think the first word of the movie is okay, and it's more than 5 minutes into the movie, and then you don't have any more dialogue after that until another 5 minutes almost. So the first 10 minutes of the movie is watching these guys prepare what they need to do to kidnap someone.
Okay.
And then they grab her and they put her in. They have a room with a bed that they've set up that they can tie her to, and they strip off her clothes and put on a tracksuit, simpler clothes, and she's blindfolded and she's got a ball gag, and it's very. Her character is quite violated right out of the gate, which you, as you said, feel part of because you're watching it. I will give the movie a lot of credit that it puts you in that emotional space without, I think, exploiting the fact that this beautiful woman is naked. It also doesn't turn into torture porn, which, especially in 2009, 2010, I mean, that could have easily been the direction this movie went, whether they did it to her or she got revenge on them or something like that. It's not that kind of story. So basically, they've captured her. They asked her father for ransom, and then things start to be revealed about who these people really are and what their relationships are, and they're off to the races.
Yeah, and I'm not. I have to admit that I got a kind of a whiff of what was going on early on. Now, I didn't quite get it completely. I don't want to give away anything because it's a fairly recent film, and I hate to spoil it.
We got to spoil this. Come on.
Can we?
I think we give people fair warning, and then we can talk about it.
All right. So
I think Al's right.
All right. So it's spoiler alert. I'm not even going to put it up. We're just going to say it. So Al, go ahead, jump in. You seem like you want to dive in. Go.
Well, I think one of the most interesting parts of this film were the twists. So it was you eventually find out that Danny had a previous relationship with I think her name was Anna, right? I think. And,
if only her name was in the movie title.
If only it was in the title.
Alice. Yeah, duh.
I can't remember. I think her name is Disappearance.
I think
about
it's
the
Anna.
band Creed.
I think I'm thinking of Possession for some reason. So he has a previous relationship with Alice, and you find out before he had gone to prison, and that's basically how he selected her. And then you also find out that he's developed a relationship with Vic, and presumably they had a homosexual relationship in prison. And
that's not presumed. That's definitely
not presumed.
That's how they met.
They say they love each other. I mean,
that's the basis of their trust in each other.
Yeah, but
right?
I think with this, I'm not sure if Danny is doing that because Vic has a great big idea that he can profit off of. So
I see what you're saying. You're saying, is it real? Is it real?
Yeah,
I gotcha.
is it real for both sides, or is Danny playing a game with him just to get money, basically?
I honestly
really
think
Vic?
I think it's a bit of both, really. I mean, the way they talked about how he was afraid and Vic helped him. Vic is the older of the two kidnappers, played by Eddie Marsan, and Danny is the younger one, played by Martin Compston. And Martin Compston is definitely planning on screwing over his kidnapping partner. This is the other twist that you discover. You said that the kidnappers. the younger one, Danny, knows Alice. Either they were dating or they are dating because they tell each other they love each other, and she actually uses a sexual encounter to get herself free later in the movie. And I think that some of what makes the movie work is that you really aren't sure exactly how people feel about each other at certain points, but you also feel that the characters aren't sure. Because I think they make some decisions like, am I going to betray this person? And it feels like they're thinking, am I going to betray someone? That's a big deal to do that. Can I pull this off? Is it the right thing to do? All that kind of stuff. Because none of these people are professional, cold criminals or anything. Vic is very organized. Vic has a plan, like you said, but they still feel like real people in this crazy situation.
Well, my feeling was that, and as I watched the film, Danny's the young guy, right? Danny's the younger, Vic is the older guy. Danny was definitely trying to put one over on both of them, right? He's trying to figure out a way to get money from her father, who I guess she didn't like, and they kind of had this relationship, and he knew that. And he was trying to put one over on Vic, but psychologically, I still believe that what happened in the prison, Vic definitely protected this young guy. This guy probably went in there and he was probably getting abused and attacked by everybody. And Vic went in there and saved him and became his, I don't want to say sugar daddy, but his protector. And I think psychologically, the conflict in this film was Danny was having trouble trying to separate himself from both of these people, right? And
I think that's fair.
And he couldn't quite give it up on Vic because of the way Vic protected him. It was a just fascinating kind of look into what this kid was trying to do. And I think ultimately he was super confused, and it's what ended up, getting him the way it ended for him. But I just
he drives the story without the other two characters realizing that he's driving the story. Because he's, of course, the one that bridges them. And it's really... It's. I mean, in some ways, it's a very classic film noir with betrayals and a femme fatale and things like that. Except,
but she's not a femme. Well, is she a femme?
Well,
fatale?
she becomes that role that she destroys them, and essentially, if there's a winner in the movie, it's her. And but you don't feel completely. You don't feel a singular emotion towards everybody in the movie. Like there isn't. That's the bad guy. I hate him. That's the victim. She's a good person who's in a bad situation. Like they all make decisions that make you question their morals. Although clearly she did not plan to be kidnapped and stuff. She is a victim. I'm not saying that, but she.
It's so it's so interesting.
She also steals millions of dollars at the end. So
well, she walks away with she steals her father's money.
She steals her father's money.
The whole.
She disappears.
And the title is right. That's the title, right? It's not the kidnapping of Alice. It's the disappearance, which is what she happens to. But you mentioned the other film, the I Care for You. My allegiance was flip flopping through that whole film. Okay, like I was. It was almost frustrating the way I'm going. Oh my God, why am I rooting for this person? Peter Dinklage's the mother. Like all over the place. Same thing was happening in this one, right? I'm like, at first I'm like rooting for the kid, and then I realize what's going on, and he does that. There's that whole movie does when she figures out what's going on, and you said he was using sex to get away, and what he does to her after that fact. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in this that I'm flip flopping all over the place. Ultimately, I think the outcome is, Well, there's a thing that happens when Vic does something at the end of this film that makes, it's kind of his hero moment. Out of this film, there's no heroes in this thing, but he does something that becomes kind of the thing that saves her, and I thought that was fascinating. Al, jump in, say something. I want to hear because I'm fascinated by your take.
Well, I mean, I think the best part of it for me was just all the psychological games that were going on between Alice and Danny and Vic. And I can't tell. It is muddy, and I can't tell how much Danny had planned on screwing everybody over, or how much of it was him just being reactive in the various situations that were arising. But I guess me, like I wish I liked that it wasn't as dark as I thought it was going to be, but also at the same time, I wish it did go darker than it was.
But you...
Like, I honestly, I wish, for like the ending, for example, I wish everybody would have died. Like, it would have been a Shakespearean ending where no one got away, and she would have been locked to
Well,
I thought it was going to end that way. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
I read
where there's 2 dead bodies and one she'll starve to death. Yeah,
right. I read that there was another ending that they didn't. That they went with this one. They reshot this ending, so there may be an ending of her chained up, Vic next to her, and the key just out of her reach. Right, and we're giving this away.
Yeah,
I guess we said spoilers.
I guess I was expecting the movie to be a little more cruel than it was. So
Why do you think
Well, I
they
think
go
that-
whether that's
that's
good
the-
or bad, I don't know.
That's the thing about that last move you mentioned, that basically Eddie Marsan's character is dying and Gemma Arterton's character is trying to escape, and he hands her the keys that she can almost reach and she's able to escape. That was in the whole movie, that actually rang the falsest to me. That's what enables us to not have the bleak ending. Maybe that's what they rewrote. I don't know, because he wasn't going to let her go. He came back in to give her an injection, and he said it's going to be really quiet, and then it'll be all over. Like, he was literally going to murder her, euthanize her, and then he ends up getting betrayed and getting shot. And his last thing is like, well, I guess I'll let her go. Like, that part didn't ring true with me. But the actual ending where she catches up to Danny, who's trying to run away with the money, and he's dead, and she ends up running away with the money. She ends up disappearing. I love that, the freeze frame at the end, and then the title comes up. I mean, that's the right ending. I think that ending really works for me. But I get what you're saying. Al generally, you want things to be darker, and I dig that, and I'm on board with that. This, I think it absolutely could have worked darker, for sure. But it also works the way that it does, which is nice, because I care a lot. Also has a lot of tonal shifts like that too.
Oh my God, it's all over the place. Tonal shifts all over that one.
That's not a criticism. That's the way it's
you know what?
runs.
It's but I almost walked out of that. I'm not walked out. I almost ended by going, oh my! I can't believe they're going to do this, and then something else happened. And you go, okay, that film just gets saved by what happened at the end.
I got you. You're talking about the very last scene.
The very last scene saved.
Gotcha.
It's the same reaction I had to Existenz, which is, I'm like, and then that last scene happens, and it kind of everything clicks into place, and you go, okay, good. But I think this one would have been, I'm going to agree with Al on this one, that a darker, if she was stuck there chained, and that key was 2 inches from her foot or whatever, and she couldn't, that would have been a better film, because you would have said, okay, they had some balls to do that, and because it really, when you look at the motives of everybody in this film, she's stealing money from her own father.
Yeah, no, there's no heroes.
So obviously, it was set up because he knew that she hated her father, who she's pleading with in the video that they make her. It's all these weird things going on. That I think the better film ending would have been they just all of them go.
Well, that would have definitely fit it is essentially a noir type of film, and that sort of bleak, everybody's screwed, in jail, dead, whatever. I mean, that sort of ending absolutely would fit. And then the take could have kept the title as well, because she would have still disappeared. Right. And I think that's totally fair. I think that I Care a Lot could have had as dark an ending if it didn't have that last scene, because it goes right back to the beginning of the movie, which is about this woman is doing something, exploiting old people, stealing their money, and it's all perfectly legal. Yeah, that's essentially the way the country works. It's the way the American healthcare system works. It's the way the American legal system can be gained. And at the end of the movie, it goes back to that. That's why that movie, it reminded me of like Thank You for Smoking. Yeah, that sort of really tight satire where there are no good guys, and it's really just great out there storytelling. And then it became a little more of a genre thriller, and I'm going to get revenge on this person for my family, blah, blah, blah. And she gets to have sort of some superpowery type of stuff. But it goes back at the end to that. And I think, this movie maintains a more consistent tone. It has twists and surprises, but it definitely once they said we're not gonna be ugly about the fact that these guys have stripped her naked. They don't rape her. They didn't do it to rape her. They want to. They're sadistic, but they don't want to violate her. And my understanding is Gemma Arterton insisted on doing all of the scenes herself. She didn't want a body double. She said that I think it'll be more real in my whole performance if I'm afraid if I the actress am that vulnerable. And I'm sure there weren't many people on the set with her, but that's pretty vulnerable to be naked and have gagged and have a bag on your head and have two other actors removing your clothes, replacing your clothes, and you have to urinate in a little jar in front of them, that sort of thing. I mean, it's a very powerful performance on her end for sure.
No, I mean she's brave. I'd say brave, given what she had.
I mean, the movie certainly could have been way more ugly when it comes to that stuff. But
darn it,
I think this movie is a good introduction for people. It's not as ugly as like some of the more culty films that we watch that can go down those roads. Like I think this is, if they want to start easing themselves into like something like this would be a good film to start with, because you lend towards that ugliness, but you don't actually cross the line.
Well, we gotta dive into that culty thing a little bit, because yes, when I started this with you guys, I definitely thought it was going to be the extreme cult stuff, that I was going to be diving into the stuff that I heard about, and we know this. This is the whole premise of the show. But as I watched these, and we did this last week with the Buffalo 66, cult is also unseen films, like films that should be a little bit more mainstream. Like this should be more mainstream, especially coming off of the film he just did with Rosalind Pike, right? And she just won I think she won Golden Globe for her performance.
She won a Golden Globe, yeah.
Right?
Rosamund Pike won a
So
Golden Globe,
obviously this guy should be more will now probably be a little more well known, but this film is actually quite good. And I never would have seen it had I not been talking to you guys about cult films. So I agree with you that this is a nice entrance for people who might not necessarily want to be in cult films. But having said that, is this really a cult film? Is it, or is it just a film that not many people have seen? I mean, I guess that's what I'm asking.
Well, I think there's. I mean, the problem with cult film is that means a lot of different things in different ways, many of which are legitimate. Right. And we've talked before. You could legitimately say Galaxy Quest is a cult film.
That's right,
because it didn't find an audience when it came out, and over the years it's built a very loyal audience. And it happens to be a very entertaining film, although it's funny because it is a spoof made by major studios and big filmmakers about another major studio property made by big filmmakers. But the cult is the relationship that the audience has with the movie.
Right.
This to me is a fair choice for a cult movie because it is underseen. It found an audience later. Like this movie came out in the theaters and nobody saw it. It got good reviews, but it didn't find an audience because it didn't have a huge release. And honestly, I didn't see it in the theater. I discovered it later because I heard about it. And I'll tell you, honestly, the biggest thing for me that got me interested in the movie was Gemma Arterton as the lead and Eddie Marsan. I think they're both great. And that title. And then you see it, and it is a dark, nasty little movie that did not find an audience. I mean, that's culty enough for me. But like I said, there isn't just one meaning of that.
No,
that's why Al and I bring two different perspectives to it,
right.
Which is good because you haven't seen either of them. And I mean, there's definitely movies that we've watched that we will watch that I haven't seen. I'm excited to see those too.
Right.
Well, I guess from my perspective, like I think this was a good movie. This is like a good Saturday matinee thriller. But for me, like this isn't really a cult film to me. I guess I don't know, like, when I think of cult film, I'm thinking of like Evil Dead or something where an audience has really grown around it and like really embraces it and it's a part of their DNA. And I'm not sure how this film would satisfy that or who would find that to really envelop this movie into their life, I guess.
But why wouldn't a film?
So
like
I see this as more of an unseen flick than a
but why is it unseen? Is it marketing? Is it studio? Is it because this is Anchor Bay? Anchor Bay, is that more of a DVD Blu-ray?
I don't think Anchor Bay exists anymore.
Well, maybe.
They were
What year did this come out, Drew?
Company.
Do you remember?
It's 2009, 2010.
Okay, so that's a while ago. But And which
I mean,
and,
Anchor Bay certainly released a lot of editions of Evil Dead and Army of Darkness back in the day on
Yes,
DVD.
they did.
So there is that connection if you want to make that connection.
did she? How many other? Was she a well-known actress?
She was in
She
Prince of
wasn't-
Persia.
Yeah, she wasn't well
If you ever
known,
saw
but she
that.
had been in other things. Prince of Persia was her big studio movie. She'd done
Is
some
that the
British
Jake Gyllenhaal
television.
one? Is that the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's crap. It's crap.
never seen
It's
it,
not
yeah.
crap because of her. She had been a Bond girl.
Okay.
I can't remember which Bond it was. I don't remember. I mean, she's beautiful, and she was
Yeah.
in it for 20 minutes or something. But
Oh, Casino Royale,
she's,
was
you know,
it?
an
Okay.
establishment.
No,
No,
Quantum
it
of
was
Solace.
before that. This is Pierce Brosnan
Oh,
Bonds. I think.
that early.
I think.
Oh.
I think so. I'll have
Yeah,
to
because
double-check that.
it shocks me that a film like this wouldn't get bigger play.
Oh
Now,
no,
I
I'm
understand-
lying. I'm lying. She was in Quantum of Solace. I
Okay.
was wrong. It was
Okay.
the second Daniel Craig one. That's right.
Is
Sorry
she
about
okay? Is she? Does she play his girlfriend that ends up in the water with him, or I?
No, that's Ava Green. She's like a secondary
Okay.
character. Not a main
She's quite good in this film, quite good. And it
Yeah.
turns out the director knew what he was doing too, because obviously he picked up what he picked up. It always surprises me. Like, I understand why Al's version of cult doesn't hit mainstream. I get it, because that's a particular taste. But this one is more. I mean, I think he even used the movie Ransom. You know, that Mel Gibson. Who directed that? Opie.
That was a Ron Howard movie.
Ron
It was
Howard, which I
a
love
giant
that
studio
film.
movie.
Okay, and the director used that as kind of stuff for, you know, he used that as in this film as well. You know, he was thinking about that film while I was making this one.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, I think I read
Oh,
that.
okay.
I hope I read that. I'm pretty sure that he used Ransom as one of his
I think he
touchstones
just made
for
it
this
up.
one.
He
Ransom's
could have made it up, and it's credible. So,
Well,
here's the
Ransom's
thing
a
about
pretty good
Ransom.
film. I mean, that's not a bad film. I'm not trying.
Ransom is a movie that I really don't like. And part of why I don't like it is because the premise is so good, and I don't like what they do with it. The idea that a guy would go on TV and say, you know, you've asked me to pay $10 million or whatever it is, and to get my son back, and I'm not going to give it to you. I'm coming for you.
well, because
I
he
mean,
knew.
like, that's a-
Come on.
Well, that made a great trailer.
Yeah.
For an movie. I run very hot and cold on Ron Howard. Some of his movies are
Well,
wonderful, and some of them I don't understand why they got made. I mean,
just-
like, why
I-
would
I-
he be interested in making them?
I
But
like
yeah,
it.
I mean,
Well-
as far as kidnapping is a genre of movies and of thrillers and stuff, and this is definitely a superior example. Of
Well,
that.
and I know I said I got a whiff of something going on. I could get a whiff of that. Partly the relationship between the two guys. That's the, you know, but it was surprising the relationship between him and the woman. Okay, that the young guy and the woman. That was.
you
threw
mean
me
that
off a little
twist?
bit.
You didn't.
Didn't
I gotcha.
that right? But having said that, I think it's a well done film, and
Yeah.
I'm glad he got the other. I'm glad this one is him, because I think he should be seen more. It's really good. And you're right, there are similarities between the two of them that until you said it, I hadn't connected. But knowing what was going on in both, it's like, oh my God, that's right. It's right there. It's obvious. Allegiances are flipping all over the place on both those films. I was
this
rooting
guy,
for
he's only-
everybody, and you're rooting for
Right.
people who you don't like. I mean, you'd never root for these people in real life, and you're rooting for them. That's the mark of something pretty interesting.
Well, and also, I mean, I think he writes great stuff, and he writes great stuff that actors love to sink their teeth into. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff in I Care a Lot, and a lot
Yeah.
of really good crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But the best single scene in the whole movie is a conversation between Rosamund Pike and Chris Messina as a lawyer, alternately bribing or offering to bribe and threatening her. And it's literally a conversation between two people. There's no screaming, nobody pulls out a gun, and it is just crackerjack writing and acting, and it's really satisfying, and it's
Right.
really great. And so,
Well done.
you know, this guy's only directed two other things. He directed something called, I think it was called Gunpowder. It was, it might have been a mini series. It was starred Jon Snow from Game of Thrones, and he directed a sci-fi movie, I think based on a YA novel called The Fifth Wave that I haven't seen and nobody seems to like. So he's bookended his career so far with these two thrillers, and
Yeah.
I think this is certainly because it didn't find an audience, and because it's a very little movie, even though it's got, you know, real talent and names in it and stuff. This is certainly a cult movie in a way to me that the new one obviously wouldn't wouldn't be considered that. I don't
Well,
know
the
that
new
a
one,
cult
but
film
with
can
that-
win a Golden Globe and get that
Right.
kind of marketing push, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So I get that too.
Plus, her haircut in that I Care a Lot is just insane. That should get its own award. That thing's amazing. And
Isn't that the
Rosalind
same
Pike was
haircut
great.
that Breonna Keller has on CNN, I think? So
Is
you
that?
should check her out.
It's not quite as severe as that one. The Rosalind Pike had it was like a razor blade cut. It was just
Well, I think
done.
that some of that might be movie magic.
Of course,
Which is
but-
not a criticism. I mean, it's her character, the whole design of her character and the makeup, the costuming, everything is really striking.
just great. All
Which
right,
is
well,
funny
that-
because Gemma Arterton is also a beautiful woman who spends the whole movie looking smudged
yeah,
and flushed and beat up, and that just feels real.
yeah. You made
You know,
me.
I mean, she
called
cries
you.
and screams and
I called
what?
you and I said, I know you put nudity in the thing, and I have to tell you, I feel completely guilty and
It's
disgusted.
unsexy nudity.
That
Yeah.
I felt like I said I felt like I'm participating in this kidnapping, and
Yeah.
it's making me. I really had to push myself to get through it because I felt like, okay, I picked this because I wanted to see boobs and bush, like I always talk about, and like, oh my God, I don't want to see this. So that's the mark of something pretty powerful, and I'm glad I stuck with it because it was very satisfying. Although I would have preferred the darker ending as well. Would I have been a little frustrated? Yes, but still, it would have made more sense to me if they actually pulled that one off. So anyway, that's my feeling. I loved it. So
oh, good. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you enjoyed it.
Al,
And
what
I'm
was
glad
your?
I'm glad you both hadn't seen it. I think it's cool when two of us haven't seen it. I love that. I think it's great.
Al, would you
I-
recommend this to your nihilist friends?
No, I would not recommend this to my nihilist friends because it's not nihilist enough, Ralph.
It's not that nihilist. That's
What
true.
would have made
it's
it
dark, but not
Okay,
nihilist.
Al, if you could write it. How would you have made it more nihilistic?
I mean, them dying at the end, that would be pretty nihilistic.
So
to me.
2 out of 3 did. One of them got away. You're like, damn it, I needed
Yeah.
more. All right, well that's fair.
And she would have died bad. She would have died of dehydration
Yeah.
and starvation.
Oh,
chained
that-
at the
you know,
neck.
it's so
Like,
funny you
that
say
would have
that.
been bad.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh my God, if she gets chained there, it's going to take days with the guy next to her who's already dead and the keys 2 inches from her foot.
Yeah.
Right? How great would that have been? That would. It's like that's a ballsy move. I have to agree with Al. That would have been awesome, but I'm glad it didn't happen because you do root. Yeah, I don't know why, but you're rooting for her. I rooted for everybody in this film, even Vic, who was like, he got screwed over by this guy, literally and figuratively, and I'm like, oh, that poor bastard.
I still think I think Vic told him his plan to Danny, and Danny immediately thought of Alice, and I really think he was planning on screwing over Vic eventually.
I agree with that. I think he felt more conflicted about it than he expected to feel.
Yeah.
I don't think he faked, like when they first kiss and you discover their relationship, because there's some sort of moments of like he puts Eddie Marsan puts his hand on Danny Thompson's shoulder, on Danny's shoulder, and he puts his hand on his cheek, and it's almost a little bit fatherly. And then when they kiss, that feels like real passion. You're like, oh, okay, so this is something this is why even though he's younger and seems very inexperienced to me, this is why Vic is counting on this young kid so much, because he loves him. They have a real love, and it feels. I mean, if he was faking the passion and kissing him, then that was very impressive, because that's part of what made me think. Now I don't know exactly where this is going to go.
Well, the scene that made me think Danny was a total psychopath was when, after her failed attempt with the sex to get out of there, and he's naked and he pins her up against the wall with his foot, right? That scene, I said, holy shit, this guy's a killer. This guy's an animal. And it was at his prison stuff, whatever. But I still believe that deep down what was going on with him, his conflict was this guy did protect him in jail. Vic protected him in jail. And it's the one little doubt he had that he couldn't quite shake, and why his allegiance was getting screwy is because this guy, Vic, probably did protect him from all kinds of nasty shit in there. But when he had her up against the wall and he choked her out with his foot, not choked her out, but made her pass out, I mean, that was a pretty tough move.
I mean, we have no idea why they went to prison. So, like, we have no idea
That's
what
true.
Danny did
That's true.
to go there. Maybe he was choking people out all the time.
Well, wouldn't he be in prison longer then if that were the case? And
I
not
don't
some
know.
Bank
They're
robbery or
British.
something?
They just go to jail.
Maybe
for
he
like
did it when he was
Al,
16.
write this. I
Who
want to
knows?
hear this. This is good. Let's go with this. Okay, how nasty you want to get? Man,
I don't think we need to get.
I
that
love
nasty.
that you're not happy unless something new happens in a scene or everybody dies. I mean, this is gonna
Okay,
be
so
tough.
I have two criticisms. Well, one, I guess. So I think a lot of like the bullet in the wall and the phone. Like I thought that was really convenient, and I could tell that you know, as soon as the shot was fired, I knew Vic was gonna either see the shell casing or he was gonna find the bullet in the wall. And then when Alice had grabbed the cell phone, I knew Vic was gonna find the cell phone. So like, that was very like paint by numbers to me.
Yeah, the phone I
and
didn't.
It
think,
worked, but
Yeah.
it just.
The bullet one, I thought they made such a big thing about the bullet not being able to flush that I thought it was going to come back up that way. That's where I thought the bullet was going to present itself. The fact that he what did he do? Like tripped against the wall and he's sitting right by the bullet by the wall.
Well, he leaned against the wall in despair. See, like what you said, Al, what you said about how you just, you know he's going to find the bullet, all that kind of stuff. I also felt that. I just found tension. I was like, well, when is he going to see it? The whole time he's in the room and he hasn't seen it yet. Is he going to turn around? Is he going to see it? How's he going to find it? And that was that was also part of the story that made me think Danny isn't necessarily bright enough, because he swallowed it, then he took a dump, and then he looked for a moment genuinely surprised that it was back in the toilet.
Right.
And it was that's how it works, dude.
Right.
So
that's the whole.
That's sort of like waiting for that other shoe to drop. Like he's gonna find the bullet some way. I was my tension in experiencing it was worrying about when he was going to find it, but then also wondering, what am I worrying about? Who's in trouble? What's going to happen? I don't know. Like you said, who's my allegiance to? Because even though Alice is the victim of kidnapping, it's not that simple when it comes to how they're behaving and what their relationships are and stuff. So
yeah,
it's interesting.
No, it's great. Well, the whole Alfred Hitchcock thing about suspense anyway, right? It's not about the bomb blowing up. It's about knowing the bomb's under the table and it's ticking, 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 ticking. Same thing with the bullet. You know that thing, and you thought on the wall, I'm thinking it's going to crop up again in the toilet. So we're all thinking the same thing.
The reason I didn't think of it, because they kept showing the shell, I kind of knew it, and they never referred to the bullet in the wall after the initial shot was fired. So I knew it had to be
the bullet in the wall. So yeah, there you go. Well, we completely spoiled that
it's very classic.
Film.
It's very we warned people. It's very classic Hitchcockian type of suspense thriller, and that's great.
But I got to tell you, knowing that he's the same person that directed I Care a Lot, I'm quite impressed. I can't wait to see the next one, because that one is a really good film. Al, you haven't seen I Care a Lot?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I
might not be nihilistic. Well, you might be happy, actually.
Is Rosamund as good as she was in Gone Girl?
She's Gone Girl. Yeah. She went to 11 on this one.
Oh my God! Okay.
Yeah, take Gone Girl and go 11.
and it's different. I mean, she's a very interesting actress. She's had a lot of interesting stuff in her career already, and she was a Bond girl. But
she was.
She was the one that had the ice palace or some nonsense. I can't remember. But
is that a Timothy Dalton one?
No, I think it was a Pierce Brosnan one. But last time I said a Pierce Brosnan one, it was really a Daniel Craig one.
She seems younger than that, but Gone Girl, because she was also in a couple of the Shaun of the Dead. Not Shaun of the Dead. No, Until the End of the World. She was in that one. Until the End.
She's in that one. She's in Jack Reacher.
Oh right.
She's very good in Jack Reacher, actually. Yeah. She's a really
I like
good
her a
actress.
lot. I like her.
Yeah,
Gone Girl, she was
good.
fantastic. And this one, it's like Gone Girl, but with a business thing that's just like even more evil than you could ever be.
So it's like, is it like
the scale
Gone
of the
Girl
evil
and Michael Clayton? Like
yes.
that?
Or more
yes,
like Gone Girl and Gordon Gekko.
I think that's Al brings up a good one. The woman in Michael Clayton.
Oh, Tilda Swinton.
Tilda.
Yes. That's good. That's a good comparison.
It's good.
So
it's good.
All right.
She's great. She's great.
I highly recommend this film. I'm glad it's an easier cult movie to recommend to people, because I think they should. And with all the press that this other one's getting, and she winning a Golden Globe, I think that it might be nice to check this one out. And the nudity is
Did you
not.
happen to?
let's be clear. The nudity is not graphic. It's not. I mean, it's tough to watch because you feel like you're participating in it.
It is graphic. It's not erotic.
It's graphic.
It's not erotic.
When,
yes.
yeah.
Okay. That's
the tough part is watching them cut her clothes off because you get a sense that they are going to rape her, but actually they don't end up raping her. So like they're
more
just subvert
businesslike.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right. Well, that's a good one. Good one. All right. On to 2x4. Now we're going to change this up a little. We're going to go every other week. This week Al's going to bring 2. Next week or next time Drew will bring 2. So we kind of, because I think Al's getting a little concerned about me picking too many of Drew's stuff, and I understand. So let's get some of this good Al nasty cult in there. Is that what we want to do?
Well, you picked the most nasty cult with the Cougars, so I believe in you.
That was okay. We'll keep bringing that up, but don't, because that brings up some painful memories. It's time for 2 movies, 4 words, brought by Uncle Al. Okay, we got Sequel, Asylum, Libido, Hypothalamus, Biker Racism Lodge, Seduction. You know what? Just based on the fact that I could say hypothalamus, I think, I said that right? I think I'm going to.
Still haven't said it yet.
I haven't said it. How do you say that, Drew?
Hypothalamus.
Thank you. Hypothalamus.
There you go.
Okay, Al, what have I done to myself?
Well, I don't own a physical copy of this, but you picked Dr. Caligari from 1989, I believe.
I've heard of this one. Okay.
How
do you spell it? With a C?
Yes.
Okay.
C-A-L-A. Well,
okay.
I can't spell it either. But, yeah, it is not available. It's never been released past VHS and Laserdisc, I think. So
how are you going to find
this is going to be a YouTube special, I think.
Is it on YouTube?
It is. Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah, and you don't actually have this in your collection?
I don't, but I may soon. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, how do you know about it?
It's mentioned on various forums because people are like anxious for someone to actually release it on Blu-ray, and it just doesn't happen. So like, a lot of people want Vinegar Syndrome to do it because they do such a good job, and I don't know who owns the rights at this point for that to happen.
Okay.
But it is very prevalent in the bootleg community at like conventions. Like you can certainly find a copy at a convention if you want to.
And are you sure it's on YouTube?
It is.
Okay, good. Well,
that's where I watched it. So,
all right.
But this is we'll call it a soft sequel to the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. So,
okay.
Should
I watch that one first?
I don't think that's necessary.
Okay. Okay. I told you I went up to Vinegar Syndrome, right? And visited their home office. Last trip I took up north, and they were shut down. They weren't shut down. Their storefront was shut down.
Yeah.
They're still
of COVID,
I told you it's almost like Willy Wonka, right? They got this little storefront that sells the records and the Laserdisc, and behind is this just wonderful place where they're doing all this film stuff, and it's like, oh, I want to go in, or I want my golden ticket to get in there.
Well, you can certainly go on our YouTube channel where I've linked videos where they give tours of their facility. So you can see their warehouse and the equipment that they're doing to restore these films.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. It's great stuff. And having said that, we should link and subscribe and check out our website at MovieStrangeShow.com and, see some of those videos. That'd be kind of fun. So, all right, fellas, what do you think? Good one? Al, you gonna watch?
I think so.
You gonna watch I Care a Lot?
Probably.
Okay, good. Good. That's good. This person deserves it. So I think, Drew, nice job. I really enjoyed that film. So appreciate it.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
All right, guys. All right. Have a safe week, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
See you guys.